because I needed to make myself feel better after talk about you're never sure about who's gonna call you. It was New Year's Eve, and I was sort of just gearing up for a chill night. I was just gonna hang out with myself. I was gonna stream. I should have streamed. Oh, I should have streamed. No, I needed a calorie pick me up because I took yesterday off. I didn't do anything yesterday because I was just looking out the window thinking about man, I had a strange voicemail from a promoter / property manager like contact of mine that I have done DJ gigs for in the past at different like hotels and stuff. And I haven't heard from this guy in a while, and I had like a frantic voicemail on New Year's Eve day from this guy. A triathlon would be cool. I don't think I'm good enough as a streamer to do all of that yet, but I would love to. I also would love to be able to condense it down into like the 2-3 hour promotional segment that'll be on stream. If we could run the whole tournament during the commercial, then I'll just talk about HelloFresh the whole time we're playing golf, and we'll kill both birds at the same time stone. That's my I have big plans. Maybe I don't know. I want to make sure it's doable. I want to make sure things are actually accomplishable because I don't know, if the golfers are actually playing for a prize, like a cool prize, like some sort of HelloFresh weekly subscription or something, like that's really cool to be able to give to the golfer that wins, I think. The like the Wheel of Eyes fantasy. That's what this Kirby looks like. Yeah, I agree. But so I have this, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, wow, I wasn't gonna work. I wasn't gonna do a set tonight. I don't plan on doing that. But I thought it was like a pub. I thought I knew where. I was like, this guy needs an act at the last minute. So I called him back. It was like 5 p.m. I called this guy back, and I was like, hey, it's me. And he was like, we need a DJ. The band canceled for tonight. We need a DJ. The band canceled last minute New Year's Eve, and they need a DJ. And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. I'll come play I thought it was at the bar. I thought it was at this bar. I was like, I'll come play your bar. I'll do a DJ set at your bar. I'm thinking it's gonna be like 9 to 12, 10 to 12, or like half an hour pass or something like that. And he's like, no, it's at this ballroom. It's at this ballroom. That's actually not that far away. It's like 20 minutes away from my place. It's at this ballroom that there was going to be this band playing on stage, and they all apparently got the flu at the last minute. And yeah, it was really fancy. It was really fancy. They should not have hired me. And he's like, it's a 6-hour program. So we're starting at 6 p.m. and this is going to go till 12:30 at night. And I'm like, wow, that's intense, man. I was like, I have a 3-hour set. I do a 3-hour set. Do a 3-hour DJ set. And he was like, we'll play it twice. And I was like, oh, okay. And I normally charge $50 an hour to do this set. And I'm just thinking to myself, it's New Year's Eve. I'm gonna double my rate. So I told him, I was like, I want $100 an hour to do it. And he was like, oh, I don't know. And I didn't say anything. I just sat there on the phone. And he's like, all right. Yeah, three hours. Play it twice, 6 hours, give or take. Maybe stretch it out. Play it a little slower. Play it at 118 BPM instead of 120 BPM. You get 20 minutes out of it. So yeah, it's a great gig, right? I'm not gonna turn that down. And I'm doing the math. I'm like, shit, that's like $650, man. Like, I'm doing the math. I'm like, that's a hell of a gig to just get dropped in your lap. Yeah, and it was like, yeah, I'll do it. I'll come down. I was like, I can't be there at 6 though. I'm just gonna take me a minute. Because I have to like prepare a set. I have sets prepared, but and I play. Let me give you a little bit of background. I don't advertise DJ services. That's not something that I say to people that I do. People know that I can do it. It's like an art piece. I mix house music. I spin like disco and weird electro, first wave acid house, stuff you haven't heard. But that's the kind of DJ that I am. I play weird, cool selections that are impeccably mixed, beat matched per song. It takes a lot of attention to do. It's all hands-on. I build my own hardware. It's like an art piece. I've done it at hotels and like museums, and I do it at coffee shops and stuff like that. And yeah, the management this is a C-level problem solver who thinks he can he knows better. So I'm just going with it, and I did some work too. I'm like frantically I ripped the final scene. I ripped the audio from the final scene of It's a Wonderful Life from YouTube. I was gonna play like, hey, this is like the crowds thing, and I was gonna like quiet the music down. I've never played a New Year's Eve gig before. I've never done that before. It's not something I do. So I'm like, this will work well, and then I'll play. I'm thinking in my head. I'm thinking I'll play all my propellers, heads, drum and bass to start things off, and then I'm gonna do like 70s disco because they wanted 70s-ish stuff. So I was like, I got tons of 70s. I got George Duke. I got Shannon Red. I got Candido, Thousand Finger Man. I've got all these like obscure 70s disco tracks that I'm gonna mix with like Linus Loves and Michael Jackson and all this weird techno and dance music and stuff like that. And so I pack up all my shit. I get this set all put together in like an hour. And I load it on my hardware, and I'm like preparing all my stuff, and I head out. I actually find parking. It was a freaking miracle. Like I got there on time. And I walk up the stairs. It's a ballroom. It's like an enormous space. And I have like my one speaker, and I can plug into their shit if I need to, but they don't know how to do that. And so I walk up the stairs, and the maitre d' is there. And I'm dressed like this, and I wore the purple hoodie. And I'm gonna have to do a DJ set now just to prove that I'm not a wreck, because they're looking at me, and they're like, who are you? And I'm like, I'm the last minute DJ. and they're like, oh, and their mood changes. They're like, oh, thank goodness. And they usher me in, and they're like, what do you need help with? I'm like, no, I need a table. So they set me up on this. It's a big stage too. Like there was gonna be like a 4 or 5 piece band that was like a drummer and shit. And they set me up on this stage, and I'm like, whoa, this is like. And I don't really take a whole lot of note about the crowd or anything. I just start loading in. I get my shit in there, and then and I'm just moving quick because I know things are urgent for them. And so they do their little announcement, and he's like, do you have a mic? And I'm like, no, I don't use a mic. And I'm not that, I don't really, he's like, oh, okay, I'll use mine. And they get the MC mic out, and he's like, hey, all right, everybody, like, give it up for this guy. He helped us out at the last minute. And so, and like, they do their little thing. And then all of a sudden there's like a dinner. There's like all this food coming out. And I look around, and there's nobody in this room under 60. Like this is like these people are like really old. And I'm looking around for like anybody, and there's like 1 or 2 younger dudes, just these 2 like lovable dudes. We're like, well, what do you got? They're like, they were asking about like 80s dance music, and I was like, yeah, I've got some of that. I can work some of that in. But I'm more of like an obscure sort of like house mix kind of thing. And so I start playing it, and I started off with like I was playing Jamiroquai. I was playing some Jamiroquai tunes. I was mixing Jamiroquai with like some old disco, and it was chill. It's a great way to start the night. And it's and like, I don't know, I'm getting some weird looks from like the dinner lady who's like running the dinner service, and like, I don't know, like I get like 3 tracks through. It's like I went out, I checked the sound, everything's sounding really good. It's actually there's like some good bass in this room. I'm like, this is like kind of cool. These people might remember these disco tracks from like when they were released. I found them on my own, like sort of just doing music research and shit. But oh man, and So they're serving food, and they get all the food out on the table, and the lady that's serving the dinner comes up on stage, and she whispers in my ear. She's like, they're not dancing. And I wanted to be like, well, yeah, it's probably good for your reliability, because it looks like if these people get out there, they're gonna have some injuries or some shit, man. But I'm like, I'm also like, you just serve dinner, you just serve food, like they're eating. I don't really understand what's going on with the format. And so I'm playing like, yeah, and my set, when my set starts getting into the nitty gritty, I mean, I'm playing like Justice, I'm playing Daft Punk club hits, I'm playing like club music, it's not the Beatles. And the one guy, the two lovable dudes were liking what I was playing. And so I play through but I chill the music down, but I try and make it like kind of poppy, but I don't really have a lot of pop. I don't play pop music. I play like house music. So I'm doing the best that I can. And maybe like an hour goes by, and they're wrapping up the dinner service, and I'm sort of picking up the tempo a little bit. I'm seeing some plates go back. I'm like, all right, we can get some things going here. So I put on my I played a little Michael Jackson. I played a little I had a cool mix with two Michael Jackson songs, and I was teasing a hook from a Monkees song, because I was like, but I didn't have that much of that older material, and they really liked that. There were actually some people dancing after that, and I was like, okay, cool. So I was just playing more Michael Jackson tunes, and then everybody's sort of like, there's ebbs and flows with the crowd. So we're like an hour and a half in, and I think it's going great. I'm playing like I'm into the 70s disco part. Yeah, Michael Jackson really, the crowd came for Michael. He really had my back there, and but I can't just play Michael Jackson for 6.5 hours. Like, that's not gonna work. And the promoter guy. Well, yeah, I do everything by hand. Like, every track is selected and mixed. So if I'm not going with my plan, which I never really have a concrete plan, I pick my tracks as I go, because I have to match. I don't program anything. If I program it, it's not the same. So I sometimes I can pull off some cool cuts. And oh yeah, and when I was doing the Monkees thing, there was this like the one sort of engineer guy that they had there. He was on stage. Yo, Spenny, what is happening? Spenny420, thank you so much for the 5 months, my dude. It is so good to see you. I'm glad that you're here, man. This is I wanted to tell this story, so I'm glad that Spenny's here. Yeah, that's sort of what I do. And thank you for the 100 bits, my man. This is thank you for the 100 bits. So while this is all happening, while I have the good cut with the MJ stuff going on, the one guy that sort of knew where the speakers were in the room, like, came up and was like, he scared the shit out of me. He came up on stage and was like right here, and he was like, "Hey, how you doing? How do you do all that?" And I was like, "Holy shit, man!" And I was like, "You gotta back up. You can't be right in my face, man." And he was like, "Okay." And then he immediately got right back in my face, and I like stiff armed this dude. I was like, "You gotta observe it's like a distance thing. You gotta observe here, man. You just can't fucking do that." Speed McDemon with the gift sub to Ratchet69. Very cool person, viewer. Been hanging out with them recently here. And I think I offended the guy. I think I offended his helper or whatever, because I was like, I didn't want to show him how my like vinyl synth thing and drum pad worked. I was like, I got to mix, man. Like, what are you doing? And I guess what he was trying to get to was like, people don't really like the music. They don't like, people aren't like they're not. And I'm like, well, okay, okay, like that's. You just tell me you don't like it. That's I guess that's but I don't really take requests. I don't have like KC and the Sunshine Band records or the Beatles records. I just don't even possess the records. So and then as the engineer guy is up on the one side of me, the promoter guy comes back up on the other side, and he's like, "Do whatever you were doing with the Monkees." And I was like, "Okay, like, you want me to play the Monkees?" And he was like, "Yeah, just play the monkeys. And he's getting like frustrated because nobody's dancing and everybody's like sitting at these tables sort of being all frowny that there's not like Hey Jude, like the Hey Jude isn't playing. I think they just wanted somebody to. I was like, man, you could have put it on Spotify like just for way less than you hired me for. I'm like more of a and I told him I'm explaining this on stage to a guy who's questioning me about it as I'm trying to beat match tracks. And I'm like, I'm just not that kind of DJ. And he's like, what? He's like, what do you mean? I thought you said you were a DJ. And I was like, well, yeah, I'm mixing tracks. Like and he's like, this music isn't even from the 70s. And I'm like, John, this record was published in 1974. It's George Duke. Like, I'm like, it's from the 70s. Like, I'm frantically explaining that like what I'm playing is from the 70s, but it's just not. It's not 60s pop or like 70s pop, but I'm also trying to like cut tracks, and it's becoming immediately apparent that this guy is very upset with me. What is happening? Thank you for the beans from HelloFresh. But yeah, if I had wet ass pussy Heavenly Kush, I would have played it. I would have fucking played it. Yo, Dr. E, with the 300 bits. Thank you so much, man. And so I guess the promoter guy's wife or friend was there, and she comes up, and she's got like ideas. They're like, you can play the monkeys with moves like Jagger, and I was like, I don't have moves like Jagger. I have 70s disco, and they're all like flustered and frustrated, and they all walk off the stage and stand in the middle of the dance floor and literally fold their arms and tap their feet. And I didn't know what to do, so I played King of Wishful Thinking by Go West. I had that track. That's my if you're not familiar with the track, Google it. Because I had nothing at that point, and so I'm mixing in King of Wishful Thinking. It actually was a great cut. And there was actually a couple that came out and started to dance to that song, and the promoter guy comes up on stage and just looks at me and he's like, "Wrap it up, kid." We're like an hour and 45 minutes in. It's like not even been 2 hours. And I'm just like, and there's like, people are like, look, there's like tables, fancy tables with food, there's a dinner service, and they're firing me on stage in front of this crowd. And so I pull the filter back, and I pull the volume down as the guy looks at me, and I hit the space bar, and the room goes fucking silent. You can hear a pin drop in this room. And there's this lady in the front row this lady clearly does not speak English, and she's just going, music, 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 music. And I'm like, lady, stop. And I'm getting the hook. They're literally, I'm getting the hook. I'm getting the Kermit the Frog. I'm getting the hook, man. And I don't know how to feel about it. I'm smiling and I'm almost laughing. And so I begin the conversation with the guy, and you can hear everything that's happening because it's a ballroom, and I'm on a fucking stage, and it just got quiet. And I'm like, so you want me to just bill you for the 2 hours that I played, and I'll just call it there? And the guy's like, yeah, and walks off stage. And the two lovable dudes that were at the table in the back, the one guy gets up and he goes, "It sounded great, man." and I just go, "It's been a pleasure performing for you all." I'm about to cry. I'm about to cry. And the other lovable dude comes up and shakes my hand from the stage isn't very high, and shakes my hand, and he's got $40. He puts $40 in my hand, and he's like, "It sounded great. We loved you." And he goes, and I'm just like, I start like unplugging my cords and shit like that, and the room is fucking dead silent, and I don't even know how to act. And yeah, it's like that really made me feel good, because I was like, it did sound good. And I was explaining on stage as part of the conversation that I didn't before I said the billing part. I was like, well, it sounded really good, you know. I'm explaining on stage how it sounded really good. It's like, I feel like it sounded really good, and I did a really good job. And he was like, well, yeah, it sounded really good, but it's not what we wanted It's not what we wanted. I'm like, I don't understand. And I was like, you called me. Like, you hired me. Like, you called me. I don't advertise. How did you get my number? Like, I don't know how they got my number. The guy knew that I performed, but I don't know how the ballroom wanted. I have no fucking idea. It's like 100 people that are never gonna hire me ever again, or potentially in the future. Oh my gosh. And I know, right? And so I'm ferrying my stuff out, and it didn't even hit me what had happened until like after I was like sitting in my car. I was like, I just got fired on stage, like mid-performance. That's never happened to me before. I've almost been performing in acts professionally for like I've been for a while, and I've always been let to finish my act, even if the venue didn't like it or whatever. But it was like, I couldn't fucking believe it, dude. I couldn't believe it. I came home. I was home before midnight. I was in Speed's stream, BSing sort of about it, just in a surreal fashion. I mentioned it to Speed in his stream. I couldn't believe it. I got home before Speed got done streaming. It was surreal. It was surreal. I sat there and watched fucking Never Been Happier TV do perler beads, and I'm like, oh, here we go, 11:59. I was watching him do perler beads at 11:59 when it switched over, and I was like, I couldn't. I'm glad I'm home. At this point, I was really glad that I was not spending the New Year's, that the agony didn't have to continue for another 4.5 hours for me to like. I was like, you know what? I don't want the. So I prorated it. As a musician, you never really even do that. So Speed, I prorated. I charged him for the 2 hours that I played. Charged him $200. So I made $240. And now I have a story that I will never ever be able to forget. So it all sank in. I kind of got a good night's sleep New Year's Eve. I went to bed at a relatively decent time. And then I got up the next day, and I literally stared out the window almost all day, and I haven't felt this embarrassed in a while. It's hilarious. It's very funny. But for a DJ to get fired on stage in the middle of their performance, that's embarrassing. That's really embarrassing. But the fact that there were the two like dudes, I know, right? I took it. I was fine with it. I was like, I doubled my rate. I kept looking out the window, stirring my coffee. I was like, I doubled my rate. You know what I mean? I would have made my standard rate. I would have made that for the whole thing, but I doubled my rate. So like, I made the same amount as in half the time, and then I got the fuck out of there. So like, who really won? Oh my gosh! I just can't. I can't stop. I have not been able to. That's kind of why I didn't stream last night, is because I just couldn't get my head in the right place. It's hilarious. It's an amazing occurrence. It was a cartoon. It was like a cartoon. There were like cartoon characters with their arms folded, tapping their feet at my set. Like older. You know, a lot of my friends are older. I don't have a lot of friends that are my age. But these people, I was like, oh my gosh, you don't even know. And I'm I don't know, if you want my opinion, I'm spinning hot fire, man. You gotta listen to what I've got for you. You've never heard these tracks before, and we're ringing your new year, with some amazing stuff. I love that hug gif. Ever since Myung started sending me that hug gif, I started using it on a lot of different things. So yeah. I was like, if I tell this story on stream now, I have to eventually do a DJ set just to prove my worth, just so I'm cool with that. I know I sound good. I get hired to do things. I don't really. It's a lot of work. It's not something that I want to do every weekend. I don't even want to do it that often. I have fun doing it when I can really get into it. And I was gonna really get into it for like a strange crowd. I was thinking to myself, like, this might be really cool. So that's how that so like, and I couldn't. And the funniest. Yeah, that's my Ollie G, Eutropius. He had and then he brought, before I was done tearing my equipment down, he had brought the check up on stage with a pen, and he was like, here you go. And I was like, and I made a joke. I was like, blank check. And I was actually looking at it to make sure he signed it, and he goes, you put your name on it. And I was like, I fucking know. What? Don't do that. Don't belittle me. It was atrocious. It was awful. It was crazy. Yeah, he cold called me. I gave him exactly what he wanted on a silver platter. It was beautiful, and it was different. It was cool. They would have talked about it all year. It's gonna be excellent. Yeah, I know what you mean with that speed. Actually, the thing that I was sweating over was the time. I was like, man, my back's gonna hurt if I have to do a 6-hour set. I've never done a 6-hour set. I've done 4-hour sets. I've done 4.5-hour sets before, but I've never done a set that long. So maybe it's a good thing that I actually didn't have to. But yeah, at the end of the day, what a fucking dick. I don't want to work for the guy ever again, even though it's nice. Playing hotels is nice, you know what I mean? Like playing in the lobby of a hotel is always fun. But like what a jackass! Like to fire a DJ in the middle of a set on stage and to embarrass them like that. Like that's what a terrible thing to do for somebody. To somebody. Wow, 5-hour set, no breaks, tips only. Ouch, that's tough. I think I'd have a better time doing that on the bass. Like if I could just keep playing tunes all night, yeah. But if I've got to prepare a DJ set and cut wax with an axe for 5 hours, my brain's gonna be mush after that. I'm not gonna be able to perform for 3 days. But yeah, I think I won at the end of the day. Maybe it was a good thing to just be able to get paid to burn that bridge. Even though I didn't burn the bridge, I was so polite. I was like, well, it sounded really good, so I did my job. Like I was really, I was trying to save face, and I don't think that I did. Yeah, I imagine if I was like, well, would this please you? Maybe yeah. Oh my gosh, imagine, Spenny. Imagine. I would like to think that there were some people in the crowd, Eutropius, that really liked what they were hearing, but maybe didn't speak up because shit was so chaotic and things were so whack. So that's the story. I'm glad that you're all here to hear it because it was sort of teased on Speed on like 2 streams and in my Discord. So I'm glad you have it in its entirety, and it's a good story.